I actually didn't plan to 100% this game, but it was so majestic and captivating that I just had to get all these stamps, get the rarest achievement, and worst of all, go outside. Welcome to Toem. Did you ever think about why people find all cameras nostalgic and cozy? No, me neither. But I wanted to do something on the short hike because I needed something chill after the absolute insanity that is its steals. But so many people have already made amazing videos on that game, so I dropped the idea. Then I started Toem instead, a game that is pretty well known at this point, but as far as I can tell nobody has actually sat down and explained why is it sitting at 99% positive reviews on Steam, so that became my assignment. Toem comes from something we made, a 3-person Swedish studio, and it very nearly didn't happen at all. Two of the founders, and I'm sorry in advance, Lucas Gullbo and Niklas Mikkelsen, cooked up the original prototype as university students. They entered it into a local competition and actually won 50,000 Swedish krona, enough to get them into an incubator and start the company for real. But the game people know today isn't what they built with that money. The original Toem was a mobile point-and-click adventure with rotating bridges and electricity lines you would draw to activate stuff, and players kept mistaking it for a puzzle game, which apparently was not the plan. So they scrapped it and rebuilt it 4 times. Development actually stopped completely after the GDC 2019 because at that point they genuinely didn't know what the core idea even was anymore. The version that we got with camera, stamps, and the whole just go look at things philosophy didn't show up until late that year, sketched out by Gullbo almost as an afterthought. And it worked. A 3-person team on a budget of about $193,000 walked away with the best debut game at BAFTAs. Critics also kept comparing it to a short hike, which is deeply ironic given how this video almost didn't happen in the first place. We wake up as a kid in the town of Homelander, and the first thing I noticed when I launched the game is the incredible music running through the whole thing. We get to hear some immaculate songs which we unlocked by progressing through the game, so every time there's something new to listen to. We also get the hike lady to play them, which is an insane name for a tape recorder. Another piece of equipment we get is obviously the camera, which for me worked in a really interesting way. So I was using the PS5 controller, which let me control the camera using the gyro built into it. And that's incredibly cool, though unusual at first. But why do we even need the camera? Well, Grandma gives us our first quest. Climb the mountain and take the photo of Toem, which is described to us as a natural phenomenon, though we don't really get much more information than that. So we walk outside and here we are taught the core progression mechanic, the stamps. So the thing is that apparently we're so broke that we cannot afford the bus ticket to the next location, but there is a solution, the stamps. Every time we help somebody or solve a little puzzle we earn one, and once we've got enough the ticket is free. Here we only need 1, so after taking a photo of Nana we probably earn our first stamp, yay. So we're good to go, but since I'm not a speedrunner I also talked to the old man who mentioned he'd hidden a gift. Something he used to walk in every day, so I figured a good pair of shoes could come in handy for a journey this long. Looking behind the house, I found them, and it's a pair of clogged, which literally just make you slower. Great, thanks I guess. But these hidden gifts turn out to be a recurring thing. We'll keep stumbling on them tucked away in every area for the rest of the game. We still get our stamp from him though, our second out of 3. And despite walking all around the level, I couldn't track down the third one, so I guess we'll have to move on. But before that, I need to tell you about the compendium. So there are tons of different animals scattered throughout the game, and I'll have to find and photograph literally all of them. Which isn't exactly thrilling, so I'll just update you on my progress with that whenever it's relevant. But anyway, we move on to Oaklaville. Oaklaville is the first actual level in the game as it is much bigger than Homelander. The main landmark here is this giant oak tree that somehow also a hotel. The whole thing propped up like a treehouse a kid drew and then somebody actually built. And honestly, that hotel is basically the whole game's art style in one building. Everything is black and white, but it doesn't feel cold or flat in the way you would expect. It looks more like someone's notebook doodle that just never stopped. Nothing is actually straight if you look closely. Roof lean a little bit, trees are just one wobbly, confident pen line, and somehow it all still works, which is kind of thin honestly. This is a game about looking closely at the world through a camera, and the world it gives you already looks like someone was looking closely at it before you ever showed up. Inside the hotel lobby, the receptionist asks me to take a marketing photo of the hotel from somewhere with a proper view, which kicks off the quest to capture the hotel's beauty. And while I'm there, a guy in the lobby hands me something called monster spotting. Apparently a 4-part quest where I'll need to track down one monster per area as I keep traveling. We're told to follow the signs to the lookout spot, and on the way I stumble upon a weird cube emitting a weird sound. What? When I take a photo of it, it spawns a pet rock, which I obviously pet. Not far from here, a pack of scouts who can't be older than 8 apparently run their own membership committee, because to join up I need a photographic proof of 3 specific things. A block thistle, a cotton puff, and a striped shroom, which doesn't really sound like a scout initiation, but good news, the cotton puff is the flower we saw right at the beginning, so that one's already handled. Bad news, I have genuinely no idea what the other 2 even look like. Past that, I run into a strange periscope-looking guy who asks me to track down and I quote, a peculiar character, which I did while playing hide-and-seek with children. Here we also see that the path is blocked by a log, where a hedgehog stops me and asks to find his brother so they can lift it together. By this point, I've already found both the monster and the striped shroom in the same location, and I even spot something that looks like it could be a block thistle. Except, since my dumbass has English as a second language, I genuinely had no idea what thistle actually was, so I ended up spending a good chunk of the game photographing random bushes from every possible angle, completely stuck on what I was doing wrong. Eventually, all this leads me to the entrance of the club, but apparently I lack the swag to get in. So to get swaggeted, or swagged, I'll need to find a skeleton who is sick and tired of seeing ghosts, so I get these glasses from him, and now we can see the ghost, but most importantly, we are in the club. So after partying there for a while, I finally turned my attention to finding all the hedgehogs. I managed to track down every single one without much trouble except the last one, who completely eludes me. Right up until I wander back into a hotel reception for what feels like a 3rd time, and there he is, just sitting there the whole time. With all the brothers reunited, they lift the log together, revealing the hotel chef. And that also opens up a lookout point. So I head up, take a very nice shot of the hotel and frame it. At this point, I've only got 2 quests left in Oaklaville that won't actually be completable until much later in the game, which is to help all the ghosts and find all the monsters. So everything else is wrapped up. The only thing still nagging at me is the compendium entry for something called Oscar, and I have absolutely no idea what that's even supposed to be. Whatever, time to head to Stanham. So by this time you probably realized our first clue as to why Toem is so highly rated. There is no pressure baked into this game anywhere, not in the mechanics, not in the pacing, not in the way it even talks to you. But on its own, it doesn't really explain 99% score on Steam. Plenty of low-pressure games exist and nobody is handing them a near-perfect rating, so there's clearly something else going on underneath all that. Something that only really shows up once you start moving further through the regions and actually using the tools the game hands you. Stanham ends up being a pretty good place to see it start to click. Stanham is an oceanside town you arrive at after Oaklaville, and it immediately feels like a shift in atmosphere. Sandy beaches, a harbor, a lighthouse, and a genuine seaside resort energy, but with an industrial edge around and underneath it. The harbor itself is the hub of the area, centered around the building with a rotating camera on top where a local photo challengers hang out. Here we get an ability to apply filters and effects to our shots. There's also a fountain where a wasteland sailor sits. From there, the town branches out into a beach section, a fishing tower, and a hydro plant, a proper power station complete with its own interior and a giant machine you end up repairing. Right on up here, I spot a suspicious looking guy and immediately snap his photo and report it accordingly. And down at the beach there is another one of those strange cubes, and photographing it clears away the shadow hanging over some poor guy just trying to sunbathe in peace. From there I head over to meet the lighthouse keeper, except instead of an actual lighthouse, he is living in a tower with a massive horn sticking out of it. Helping him out earns me a smaller horn of my own, which turns out to open up a ridiculous number of new paths and conversations, including a raft operator who offers to ferry me over to the hydro plant. I wasn't ready for that trip yet though, so he just lets out this little few, which for some reason I found hilarious. Before heading to the hydroplan, there is a Loch Ness monster that I have to deal with using the tripod I picked up back in Oaklaville. This tool lets you set the camera down and step out of the frame to snap around photos, because this thing is way too shy to let you get close. Once that's handled, I finally make it to the hydroplant, where I meet a worker who had apparently been Employee of the Month for 13 months. And naturally, I take great pleasure in crushing his hopes and dreams and finishing it with my catchphrase.
Is kind of me. Oh well, this is better. Hell yeah. Yep. Kill yourself.
Moving on, there's a fishing tower that has me help clean up the ocean, and in return I get a diving helmet, which finally lets me go underwater to help the pirate queen track down her missing treasure. Two things are still actively driving me up the wall before I leave though. The Whistling Sailor's task, which apparently hinges on tracking down something called the Kingfish, and the job for the local wizard who needs a melody to finish his set. I can literally see the fish sitting right on the shore near him. I just cannot for the life of me figure out how to lure it out of the water or inspire the guy with a tune. So defeated, that one's getting shelved. By the time I check the stamp count for the region, I noticed something about how these towns are built. Stanham alone offers something like 16 separate quests, but you'll only need 8 stamps to catch the next boss. Oaklaville's the same story, more tasks on offer than the game actually requires. Nothing forces you to chase down every single one. You pick what looks fun, skip what doesn't, and the game never once flags you down for leaving content behind. Lock City is the area you reach after Stanham, and the whole vibe flips again. This time into a proper bustling city, all traffic, concrete and hustle, sharp contrast to the coastal calm you just left. You'll need 9 stamps out of 18 total to move on to Kuroberg, so it's got even more packed into it than Stanham did. The hub is a central plaza built around the Grand Clock Tower, and there's a genuinely charming detail baked into it. Every in-game hour, a giant chicken pops out of the clock tower whether you're there to see it or not. Lock City is where the game gets weirdly sardonic about life in big cities. Everyone is running around without any point. The fashion industry will accept any dumb thing as a new trend, and the art gallery calls masterpiece whatever bullshit you're presented with. It's a pretty unusual thing to comment on for a game that presented itself as for children. But that's the second clue. Notice what satire never does. It never turns that cynicism on the actual people stuck inside these systems. The gang running the city's underbelly just wants nicer photos of their own graffiti. The guy obsessed with his Employee of the Month streak isn't mocked for caring so much. He's just quietly devastated when the streak ends. Lock City arose the hustle, the trend chasing and the hollow prestige, never the people trapped inside it. And this is exactly how a kid's game gets away with being this cynical in the first place. Right away, I walk up to what looks like a hot dog stand, but apparently it's called Hot Bean Bros. An influencer is standing right there asking me to photograph the food for her blog, and the stand owner rewards me with a hat to go promote the Hot Bean Bros to everyone. And let me tell you, I was very successful at it. From there, I stumble onto a news station where a stereotypically abusive boss hands me a reporter's hat along with the task: photograph a great mustache in the fashion show. The facial hair is obviously his, easy enough, but the fashion show takes some tracking down. On the way there, I spot another one of those cubes, and this one is going to help some granny out of trouble with her car. And just around the corner from that, I find the fashion studio, which I get into on account of being press. Inside, the designer needs help picking a hat for a show, so obviously I go with a Hot Bean Bros one. And after the dazzling fashion show, my photo ends up being plastered on billboards, with everyone suddenly wearing the hat. And I'm pretty sure the stand owner got all the customers he could ever want out of that. But then something horrible happens. I find my girlfriend. This ghostly bitch followed me everywhere until I can find her somewhere nice to go. Look, goth mommy Look, goth mommy Betties are a dream, but oh my god, the amount of time she ruined my photos just standing in a frame made me fucking despise her. She wouldn't approve of anywhere I took her. I even brought her to the art gallery and framed a photo of her as a main exhibition, and she still wouldn't fuck off. Eventually, I dragged this fatso to the burger place where I help someone who actually provides value to society, the influencer. And with my help, she hit 100 followers and is now almost as successful as me, which is deeply hurtful. But that finally did it. I took her to the spot where she said her last goodbye, which was kind of sweet. Though now I feel a little empty, like somewhere in this whole pursuit of stamps I lost someone I loved dearly.
scared the fuck away. You fucking... Dude, I'm gonna fucking break up with you. God fucking damn it, you fucking bitch. Get the fuck out of the way, dude. Oh my god. You fucking... I fucking hate you, dude.
And decided to leave this depressing city behind. Okay, but on a more serious note, I'm once again down to 2 remaining tasks. One's a suspicious guy who was never this hard to find before. I've circled the entire map and still couldn't turn him up anywhere. The others is a photo challenge where I guess I'm just being dense, but I genuinely could not figure out what counted as radical photo. So unresolved, I moved on to Kiraberg. Kiraberg ends up being the last real level of Toem, and it's got this cold, snowy, and surprisingly cozy feel to it. What actually surprised me is that it's shorter than Log City, just 13 stamps here, but it's also where a ton of threads finally get tied off. Who this mysterious man actually is and what those weird cubes have been doing here the whole time. All of it. And of course, this is exactly when my recording software decided to just stop capturing my mic entirely. And this is absolutely infuriating. You see, there were some big reveals in here that actually shocked me in the moment, and now they're just gone, existing only in my memory. But I guess it makes this whole section feel a little bit more personal. Gathered across the mountain are 3 goats. Once you track down all of them, you get to sit down and listen to their actually pretty amazing little choir. I still hadn't found the mysterious man back in Log City, so that's still hanging over me, but there's plenty else going on here first. Like this weird tower where I found another one of these cubes, which apparently doesn't do anything on its own, but turns out I need to find the Ice Wizard, frozen solid somewhere else on the mountain, conveniently also home to the last monster I need for monster spotting. Once I bring him back to his tower, something actually happens. In a separate tower, there is an astronomer who solves the equation completely wrong. The answer is obviously 3.5, but redemption arrives in the form of an actual asteroid crashing down nearby. After which, she immediately drops everything to send droids to investigate. And right at the top of the mountain, there is a sled with this huge slope stretching down below it, just begging to be used, and no, you cannot go down on it for some reason. That's about it for the interesting stuff here though. Time to head to the peak and finally experience Toem. Except before that, I decided to go back and clean up everything I'd left behind. Back in Homelander, I never actually took a photo of the house, so I finally knocked that out. In Oklaville, I finished off the full monster spawn chain and got my mask for it. Helped the snail limp its way to the finish line, wrapped up the ghost quest, and finally got my photo of Oscar. And if you have never done this yourself, look straight up inside the hotel, into the dark, and you'll eventually spot something staring back. Stanham finally clicked into place too. Turns out that the recording of the sailors whistling I picked up ages ago was meant for the guy who needed the melody the whole time. Play it for him and the two of them team up for this downright lovely little duo. Which as a bonus coaxes the kingfish right out of the water, so I can finally snap its photo. And in Log City I tracked down the last suspicious character once and for all, and it turns out that the whole radical moment I'd been stuck on was just a girl sliding down the handrail on her skateboard the entire time. And with all that wrapped up, it was finally time to head back to Kiraberg for the big reveal on the mysterious man. Which turned out to be some kind of joke about Canadians? I honestly didn't quite get it and it landed a little flat for me, but that doesn't matter now. It's time to finally head up to the mountaintop. We step out into brutally cold weather and the bus driver immediately warns us to hurry. We are way too high up for comfort. Still, we keep climbing higher and higher until we finally reach the spot. We pull out the camera and there it is. Tow him. And just like that, it's over. We climb back down, hop on the bus, head home, and Anna frames our picture. The end. Except it isn't, baby! Yes sir! We got an expansion, 20 more stamps to collect, more secrets to dig up, more places to explore, and I was genuinely so happy this wasn't actually the end. I'd fully made peace with saying goodbye to this thing, so finding out that there was a whole extra island waiting on the other side of the credits felt less like bonus content and more like getting a second summer. We wake up in the bed to find Nana gone. Just a letter left behind explaining she'd taken off for a tropical island vacation, and that we need to head to Stanham. Sure enough, waiting at the pier there is a Viking with a boat, and after handing over the ticket, he sails us off to Basto. Basto turns out to be a proper tropical island packed with things to do, though quest design itself shifts a little bit here. Nana sets you up with a tent to nap in, and taking that first nap is what actually introduces the whole day and night cycle. Every hammock and bed scattered around the island lets you flip between the two whenever you want, and a decent chunk of quest givers only show up during one or another, so you end up cycling back and forth constantly just to catch everyone. A good amount of tasks also lean more to collectathon than the rest of the game. There are 11 balloons scattered across the island, and you're handed water-filled ones at the start just to go around popping every single one for a stamp. It does take away some of that I helped someone and here's my reward feeling the rest of the game leans on, but honestly I didn't mind it much. The game was never pressuring me or making anything difficult enough to feel like a chore in the first place. There's still plenty of legitimately interesting stuff mixed in though. There's a guy at the campfire who wants to tell a scary story about a specific tree, and once you track it down and show it to him, he manages to scare himself with his own story. Once upon a dark night, very much like tonight, a group of folks gathered around a campfire, just like this one. Their marshmallows were toasting. Through the crackling of the fire, something could be heard moving in the distance. The leaves in the bushes rustled. Sound of footsteps became louder. And then, roar! Ah! It was Spooky Tree! And it came to eat all the marshmallows! No! Let's run away! There is a sandcastle competition where you get to play a judge at the royal palace, deciding the winner yourself. There is a painter who wants to capture every portrait you collected across the whole game, with the final piece being a portrait of yourself. And on top of that, a ton of characters from earlier areas show up again here. So the whole island ends up feeling like one big warm acknowledgement of everything you did in the main game. There's one last thing worth mentioning. There is a book tucked away in the cave that has you track down and wake up 3 bats. Do that and a vampire shows up starving for some ice cream. But look around a little bit more though, and you'll find a crack in the wall you can break open, leading to a hidden door. Solve a little puzzle behind it, and that's how you round up your companion with the Tattoo King. And just so I'm not clickbaiting you, yes, I did take a photo of the moon wearing sunglasses for the rarest achievement. And that's the third clue, maybe the strongest one out of 3. The game keeps giving long after it has any reason to. Toem already came out, it already won its BAFTA, already landed at 99%, already got every review it was going to get, nothing about bringing back every side character, tying off every loose thread, reuniting the entire cast and shaping the whole new island required any of that. Nobody needed the Employee of the Month guy to show up again. Nobody needed a proper goodbye for the ghosts, but the team built it anyway, for free, months after they had any obligation to do so. That kind of generosity doesn't show up on the Steam page, but you feel it the entire time you're playing. Like the people who made this world actually wanted to spend a little bit more time in it themselves and just decided to bring you along. And brother, just look at the rarest achievement. Most games have their rarest achievements in at around 1% completion. Here it's nowhere close to that. People genuinely love 100% in this game, and once you've played through it, it stops being surprising. So here's where all three of those clues finally meet. A game with zero pressure is nice on its own. A game with kind, gentle humor is nice on its own. And a game that keeps giving long after it does you anything is nice on its own, but stack all three together, and what you actually get is a space where nothing you do ever costs you anything, and everything you do just adds a little bit more good onto the pile. No grinding, no punishment, no difficulty spike daring you to put the control down. Just more gentle, funny, and generous stuff to go find in all the 6 areas and the bonus island nobody asked for. And that's maybe the real answer to the question I opened this whole thing with. Why an alt camera feels nostalgic and cozy in the first place. It was never really about the photo, it's about being handed a reason to stop and actually look at something with nobody rushing you, nobody judging how long you take. Tome is an entire game built around that small idea. And when a game asks nothing of you and hands you a little joy at every single turn, of course almost everyone who plays it walks away happy. That's your 99%.
I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a fat little chud, playing lead all day until the sun comes up. I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a fat little chud, why would I get a job when I can live with my mom? I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a fat little chud, I got nothing to do, so I go to Fuda. I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a fat little chud, I can't see my own meat, fill my stomach with treats. I'm a chud, yes it's true, I